Good, happy Friday morning, November 30th, 2018. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, water main break on Hooksett Road in Manchester cause flooding. A water main break on Hooksett Road caused some flooding in the area Thursday night. At about 8:15 p.m., Manchester police alerted the public about the break and asked drivers to avoid the portion of Hooksett Road between Webster Street and Redcoat Lane, adding that some surrounding streets were closed. Manchester fire crews were dispatched after an alarm that went off at the Maple Tree Mall was determined to be related to the water main break. The break was discovered in front of the Puritan restaurant on Hooksett Road. Around 9 p.m., manager at the Puritan confirmed that the parking lot had flooded with several inches of water. The restaurant and Puritan Conference Center, also on property, had not flooded, she said. The manager also said the restaurant did not have hot water as a result of the water main break. The restaurant was contacted by the City Board of Health and closed early. Fire crews used a hose to divert water away from the Puritan property. Storm drains were cleared and the water reduced away from the entrance to the conference center. Manchester Waterworks was notified and the main was shut down. It is being repaired overnight. And here are some photos from last night from the scene. Take a look. As you see a photo here, and a photo near the conference center of the Puritan, and another photo here, water gushing from the pipe. And we will keep you updated once things are back to normal and once it's all fixed. Former Planet Fitness manager claims in lawsuit she was raped, sexually assaulted, harassed. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Well, the lawsuit was filed in September, and then the company filed a response denying most of the allegations. According to court paperwork, the woman who's suing Planet Fitness began working at its corporate headquarters in Hampton in 2015. The complaint says it was a hostile and abusive environment, claiming senior managers pressured employees to drink alcohol at work. It says there were drinking competitions, including one called Fireball Friday, and others as early as 8:30 in the morning. During a business trip last year, the lawsuit says the plaintiff was drugged and raped by another employee and his friends. In its response, Planet Fitness admitted she reported to them that, quote, she believed that she had been drugged and assaulted. The complaint also says a supervisor took advantage of her on 2 other business trips. Planet Fitness says it investigated all of her concerns while she was employed and took immediate action, which resulted in firings. The company adds it doesn't tolerate harassment of any kind, and it plans to defend itself against what it says are other baseless allegations. The woman says she was offered 6 months' salary if she signed a settlement agreement but turned it down. Planet Fitness says she left voluntarily. Live in the studio, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Couple sentenced to prison for stealing from relative. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
The state says they stole an elderly family member's life savings, taking advantage of a frail old woman to use her money as their own piggy bank. James and Karen Foley were sentenced Thursday for taking more than $90,000 from James's sister, draining her bank accounts as she spent her final years in an assisted care facility.
She was just about as vulnerable as they come, both physically and cognitively. These defendants took and they took and they took from her until virtually everything was gone.
Prosecutors say most of the money was earmarked to pay for living expenses, some of which was left behind by her late husband. She died in 2017 at age 83, and they say the couple used the money to take trips, buy household items, pay bills, and build hot rods.
To know that Barbara lived the last years of her life in jeopardy because Jim and Karen chose to steal that money broke our hearts, because it would have broken our father's hearts as well.
The Folleys were found guilty of theft, and that conviction is under appeal. It's because of that their lawyers advised the couple not to speak at today's hearing.
I'm asking the court not to judge Jim and Karen by their alleged darkest deeds or darkest hours, to look at them in their whole lives.
The Folleys were sentenced to a minimum 1 year each in prison. They will remain free on bail while the case is under appeal. Putting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Flooding forces New Hampshire Christmas tree farm to close on peak weekend. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
The Tawndry Tree Farm in Hampton Falls has been a holiday season destination since 1964. Generations wandering 80 acres of Christmas trees to find and cut their own.
We have families who have come every year. Now they're bringing their grandkids.
But handmade signs put out today mark the first time in 54 years that they're closed on one of their 5 weekends. Extreme weather and record flooding to blame. Third-generation owners Alice Tawndry, her sister, and her aunt, who all took over the family business last year, challenged by a very wet spring and fall.
We jokingly call it Lake Tawndry, but I don't think we've ever had this during this time of year before.
Water fills fields where people park, access roads and pathways to trees completely saturated. Trying to navigate it, only making it worse. They opened for the season last weekend, the ground frozen enough thanks to a very cold Thanksgiving, but by Sunday they were pushing cars out of the mud.
The rainfall on Monday and Tuesday really set us back, and then the warmth forecasted through the weekend has meant that we have made the decision to close for the weekend.
They planted nearly 8,000 new trees this spring. It's a year-round business with a narrow window for sales, and this is usually their peak weekend. But closing means the fields and paths will be safe and preserved to open for the rest of the weekends till Christmas.
I love it because there are a ton of really cute kids, there are really cute dogs. People are in a great mood. This is just such a happy place. You're making a tradition, you're making family memories.
In Hampton Falls, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Health officials say increased suicide rate to blame for decreased life expectancy. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
The life expectancy of an American born in 2017 is now 78.6 years.
It was discouraging. It wasn't unexpected, but I think the plus side is it's really bringing to the forefront the need to address suicide as the public health issue that it is.
Ken Norton is the executive director of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, in New Hampshire. They work to help people with mental illness and suicide.
We really need to look at it more holistically as communities and our culture. What is it about our culture that is causing these deaths of despair, like suicide and drug overdose deaths?
Overall, the CDC says there were more than 2.8 million deaths in 2017. More than 70,000 of those were drug overdose deaths, and there were more than 47,000 suicides. Norton says we need to get the right messaging out to people to hopefully reverse the increase. Some signs to keep an eye on: a loved one talking about death, showing a change in mood or sleep patterns, hopelessness, and an increase in drug and or alcohol abuse. If a loved one shows these signs, talk to them. Don't leave them alone. Remove weapons and extra medication from their surroundings.
90% of people who attempt suicide don't go on to die by suicide, and we need to hear their voices.
And the director of the CDC called this report a wake-up call. Meantime, if you or someone you know needs to talk to someone, they can call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at the number on the bottom of your screen. They can also text their concerns to the number 741-741. Live in the studio tonight, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Trump touts his tariffs for generating billions in revenue, but that's just a drop in the bucket. President Donald Trump on Thursday celebrated his administration's tariffs on China's goods, claiming that they're bringing in billions of dollars for the U.S. However, according to Treasury Department data, the tariffs revenue is just a drop in the fiscal bucket. Five key takeaways from Michael Cohen's new plea deal with Mueller. Number one, this is no longer just about Stormy. Number two, the Moscow Project. Number three, Trump's answers are now critical. Number four, liar or not. And number five, and now onto the G20 summit. Those are the five takeaways from Michael Cohen's new plea deal with Special Counsel Mueller. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.